Hello and welcome to section 3.8, the for loop. In this video, I'll show you the syntax of the for loop. As with the while and the do-while loop, the for loop is used to repeatedly execute a block of code. But with the for loop, not only can we specify a condition, but we can also specify an initial value and an incrementing or decrementing operation to that value. This initial value can be used to count the number of times we execute the loop. So we start with for, then between brackets we specify three arguments. The first is usually an integer that we will use as a counter, and we assign this integer a starting value. Then we follow the first argument with a semicolon. After the semicolon, we state the condition to be checked every time we loop around the code. And we follow the condition with a second semicolon. The last argument is an incrementing or decrementing operation that will be performed on the first argument. Then between curly brackets, we type the code to be executed every time we loop around. If all three arguments are left blank, then this becomes an infinite loop. In the code we have here, we have an integer num and we have assigned it the value 30. Then we come to the for loop and we use num as the first argument. We assign num a new value, 0. We also use num in the second argument where we specify the condition. And in this case we say num smaller than 10. This has to evaluate true for us to stay in the loop. In the last argument we say num++. So every time we loop around the code, num will be incremented by 1. After the three arguments, between curly brackets, we specify the code to be executed every time we loop around. The first time we enter the loop, the printf statement will display a message saying num equals 0. Then num will be incremented by 1, and the condition will be checked again. So the second time, num will be 1. So the code will be executed again. And the second time, the printf statement will say num equals 1. Num will be incremented again by 1, and the condition is checked again. And this process keeps repeating until num becomes 10. At that point, the condition will fail because num is not less than 10, and we will exit the loop. Now please open and attempt exercise 3.8.1. Next, we'll talk about break versus continue.